and I think it's easy to get lost in chaos because everything is important and urgent, and it will burn the house down. And so I think having those checklists are the backbone of a smooth transaction. And then when you're working with the general public and you have a team, they often try to put people against each other.
Welcome to Agent Success Podcast. If you're a real estate agent looking to succeed in today's crazy market, well, you're in the right place. Each week, we talk with successful real estate agents willing to share their expert insights, trade secrets, and mindset that help them to succeed. There's no fluff, just straight to the point content that prioritizes one thing above all, your success. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase. Welcome to another episode of Cut to the Chase. I am here with a good friend, Miss Tiffany Canady. How are you, Tiffany?
I'm doing great, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing awesome.
Like my name like that. I like it.
I had something in my mouth and
It's okay. I know what happened in the mouth.
Yeah, right. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to have you introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do. What you're a florist, or you a burger flipper? What is it that you do?
I eat hot chips for a living. I'm a hot chip taster.
Taste tester.
I'm
Nice.
a taste tester.
Yeah. And you do real estate on the side.
And a side hustler is real estate. No,
Gotcha.
and do creative investing in real estate. My goal and what I like to say I do is teach people how to build wealth through real estate.
And this is for your clients that you...
This is for everybody. I think
Okay.
we don't know what we don't know. And, my husband and I are on a constant pursuit of improving our knowledge and reaching people and adding value to people. And, of course, adding value to our own lives.
Yeah.
So sharing is caring in our book. And wealth there's going to be so much wealth transferred through real estate in the next, 24 months, 36 months. And I would just want to help provide that resource and information to people so that they don't get left behind.
I really like that because when in dealing in like mortgages and real estate, somebody comes to you and they say, oh, well, XYZ Chop Shop Lending is offering a 1/16 of a point lower on rate, which is going to save me $8 a month. Mm-hmm. And they commoditize it. And then we have the opportunity at that point to say, I understand. Let me show you how I'm going to make you $40,000 over the next decade. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the whole plan here. Let's not just look at one tiny little, aspect of a great plan. Right?
Yeah, and I think we have created a society that wants that immediate gratification, that immediate sense of win.
Yeah.
And so it is our job as leaders of our own self, but leaders and guides to help people understand that there are other options that may be a better fit when you look at the bigger picture.
Well, and looking at that bigger picture, let's look at food as an example. I want a hamburger. Well, I could probably pick one at McDonald's for $2 or whatever. I don't know, something like that, right?
Plastic, whatever.
Whatever it is. Or I can go get a really, really good locally sourced hamburger. But this one's going to cost me, $12.
Because it's bison.
Now,
really
if I look at that and I say, but the hamburger is the same. Now, it gets weird in our industry because when it gets commoditized, then we end up doing something like, well, yeah, it's still a hamburger, but it's almost like I can't explain to you, it's difficult to explain to you the quality difference through the process, right? It's a massive quality difference. But at the end of the day, it's still a hamburger, right? And then you get the client or the home buyer that says, yeah, but with a hamburger, or I'm sorry, with your service, I got to live with this interest rate for 10 years. Well, with a hamburger, you got to live with the crap that you just stuck in your body for quite a while too, right? So it's at what level of service do you want, and can we say you're going to be healthier and stronger, you're going to live longer, and you're going to be able to be better for your family, eating better. So then we look at that here, or you're going to be better and stronger and more financially independent doing it this way. And then how do we explain that to our clients, right? And that's sometimes the challenge when we get into the TikTok brain of this rate's better than that rate. Well, maybe.
I think we got to teach people how to play the game, and I think to allude to your food and building wealth, I mean, health is wealth, right?
Yeah.
And we have to teach people how to think, how to ask better questions so that they can really get where they want. I think it starts with helping people get clear on what it is they want.
It's funny, this time of year everybody likes to do goal setting, right? And by January 2nd. They don't even know where the piece of paper is at that they wrote the goal on. But this time of year, it's on people's minds. And we've been doing this for a couple days in our office. And one thing that you'll notice is people, first off, generally they want a feeling more than they want.
Well, emotion engages or ignites energy, and that's motion in action, right? And so when you have that energy around something, it's an anchor to achieve whatever it is that you're setting out.
But then you look at that as a home buyer. What is my goal? Is it a feeling? Okay. Maybe it's a feeling. I want to feel good that I provided for my family. I want to feel good that my kids are in a certain area or whatever. But also beyond that, from a financial standpoint, I want to feel like I made a good decision, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that you nailed on the feeling part, because pain moves people more so than pleasure. And so
it's a human tragedy, really.
It really is. And so when you look at the top 10 reasons why people are moving, a lot of that is, there's relocation, but the biggest one is to be by family. And so when you find motivation, you typically find their pain there, and that is the emotion behind it. So I think it works on both sides there, because there is pleasure. And when you've had the pleasure, most times you're lulled into complacency. Versus the pain, you're forced to make a move.
The pain has to be strong enough to force you to move, though.
And when you've had enough, and you'll move on. And that's in from your interest rates to your housing situation to life to relationships. It encompasses everything. So let's jump off this really quickly and ask you, where do you work? I work at the Keller Williams Partners, the Homebound Team.
Off of Powers, right?
Tut and Powers.
So it's the Homebound Team, and that's you and Brian's team.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been doing the Homebound Team?
Well, it's changed names over the years. However, I've been licensed in our community since 2013, so 10 years this year.
Oh, nice. Oh, well, excellent. You're a decade old. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In dog years, you're close to death, but
I am
we're not
just starting, my friend. I love you, and no thank you.
So you run on a team.
Yes, I do.
Okay. How long has it been an actual team? Has that been from day one, or did it take a while to decide to become a team?
My first year I was by myself. Shelly was a client of mine and joined me right out. I was pregnant with Jack. So Brian, Shelly, and Myra, it was basically they all joined in play. And Myra is still an agent here, but no longer on the team.
Sure. Shelly's is she like your TC or manager or something?
Yeah, Shelly is my director of operations.
Okay.
And she started as my TC, and now she's my trusted partner. She's my right-hand lady.
I was going to say, she's been around since the first time I met you guys.
Yeah.
She's been around a long time. Yeah.
Yep.
And what was the driving factor, maybe being pregnant, that drove you into having a team? What was the decision there? Because most agents, they dream of having a team because they want to be, the ruler of the team, so to speak. Like I'm calling the shots or whatever. And maybe that's not the main thing, but that's something. But it's hard for them to achieve that team status. It seems like you guys have been a team for a very long time.
Thank you. I think there's teams and there's groups. And sometimes over the years, if I'm being honest, we've kind of teetered between group and team. And yes, so the driving force is that you can't do everything yourself. And part of me doing what I can to become the best leader, I realize that I need people that are better at things that I'm not so good at.
Yeah.
I understand my strengths, and I'll surround myself with people that are really good at my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to have married, a man that's very, he complements my weaknesses because he has accountability and like structure and all that. And I have no idea what that is.
He's so good at it that he coaches it,
Yeah,
right?
he coaches at a high level. And, people are scared of that accountability. But really what he's doing is holding people capable of what they say they want.
Not accountable, but capable.
Capable. And I appreciate that play on words because I am capable of a lot of things that I just don't create that time blocking necessarily to achieve those things. And he's there to remind me. Often I don't really care for his reminders. However, he gives them to me and I appreciate them.
It can be very annoying when it's happening.
Yes. And so I have to check myself and be like, okay, like I told him.
I would say after like the third reminder for humans like you and I, maybe you start to like, the first one you're just like, yeah. Second one you're like, dude,
Yeah, get off of the case.
Back it up. Third one, you're like, okay, yeah, I know I got to do that. Fourth one, you're like, it's actually a pretty good idea. I might want to do that sometime.
Yeah, it's a cycle. It's a life cycle.
Yeah.
And we've had agents come and go throughout the years, you
Yeah.
know, and the reality is we have a different structure of how we conduct business.
Yeah.
And we love our checklists and our accountability. And so.
Huge in that we call it sweat. Same way every time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just and it makes it to where real estate agents, loan officers, entrepreneurial brains, and salespeople in general chase a lot of squirrels. We have a lot of really great ideas, but actually executing all the way to the end is very difficult. But if you have a system in place, now all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't go to step 4, Tim. Come on, we're on step 2, dude. Like back it up.
And I think it's easy to get lost in chaos because everything is important and urgent, and it will burn the house down. And so I think having those checklists are the backbone of a smooth transaction. And then when you're working with the general public and you have a team, they often try to put people against each other. And when everybody is on the same track and you have templated, responses and certain contracts and verbiage that is used, you can easily have that CYA. I mean, you have to have a PhD
You know where it's at. Yeah.
and CYA in this business, and everything has to be in writing. And I think that is an extra layer of just, okay, did I do this? And there's a certain satisfaction of checking that off too.
There is. It's like it's like a bunch of little accomplishments as you go along.
But the thing is, too, is you have to be smart. I think the real estate agents need to work the business side of the business.
Yeah.
And a portion of that are your systems and your models and how you execute on that. I believe that you should streamline. You shouldn't be touching things multiple times. If there is a system around it, we have phenomenal tools available to us now more than ever. AI, get on ChatGPT and say, what is a checklist for a real estate transaction?
Here you go.
Boom, in 30 seconds,
And
your brain, you lose the ability to critically think.
You can
There's that. And
you can build on that over time, but you at least have the initial structure.
correct.
Right?
Or connect yourself with like-minded, agents and leaders in the community. There's plenty of phenomenal groups and firms out there that create leverage points and give you resources. I mean, we call it the ABCs, right? You add value, you be resourceful, and in turn, you create a raving fan base. And that is how you grow a strong business, is from those type of foundations.
Very, very simple ABC, right?
I like to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Because we make things too complex. It's already complex. Why do we do that to ourselves?
So I was watching a podcast the other day, and there was a guy way smarter than anybody I know on there talking about basically the foundational building blocks of the universe, right? Like, take an object, anything that is there and then can go away is an object. And his in a nutshell, his point was, how do we break down the structure of the object to build the object? And you break it all the way down to atoms, right? And there's a flow to like build a rock, like for the universe to develop a rock, right? There's a flow of things that take place. And when you can understand the complete flow of how that happens, you can eliminate, like, say 50% of the steps that are in there to actually achieve all those atoms coming together. And then you look at that on a business standpoint. Can I, all these things have to happen to close a real estate deal. Well, can I take those building blocks and say, well, this 50%, really, why are we bouncing the file back and forth? Why are we having this person do this and then this person? Is there a clean flow? And like you said with the ABC, right? It's just clean. It makes sense. Go straight.
Well,
through.
I think it goes back to the 80-20 rule, and that's applied in all aspects of life, right? And so I think we get lost in the 80% when the reality is 20% of our activities are really generating what we want. And it's small. It goes back to doing things small. It's a quantum leap. It's a small change. It's a simple system to put into play that will yield great results for you. We often convolute, and I think to your point of the atoms, you look at the way the dominoes are set up, and we are big readers, and we coach to the one thing. Many times people are focused on that 37th domino. The first one is the one you need to knock down, and it can be that simple. And I think we tend to get over, just get too much.
So let's break that down a little bit for everybody who is interested in how you do stuff. I remember it was like probably one of the first events we ever did together. It had to be, oh my gosh, like 8 or 9 years ago or something like that. And I remember you stood up and I was hosting the event.
Oh, I remember that.
And I remember you talking about, it was the first time I ever heard LP Mama.
Oh, that's my favorite. That I live by that. And so, I wasn't my brainchild. I was fortunate and smart enough to understand that I need a coach.
Yeah.
And I have a business coach. I have a real estate coach. I have a health coach. I mean, we have coaches in our lives to really hone in on those things. And so at that time, I was coaching with Corcoran Group, and they had taught me the simple structure of a call.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this is applied in all conversations that we have as real estate agents. And it's so ingrained in me that I don't even know that I'm doing it when I'm having regular conversation.
That's the perfect kind when you get to that, right?
Yeah, I love that because LP Mama really helped me on the fly. When you're building your business, you're grinding it out. You're in the tent, you're in the trenches, you're doing what it takes to get it done. And a lot of times you're caught off guard, like, hey, I'm calling about 123 Main Street. Everybody calls about that house. It's a really very famous house.
123 Main Street is probably the most popular house in America.
I think so. On every state. Yeah, it's too hard. Like, this is just easy.
I've worked on 123 Main Street loans 100 times.
Yeah, there's a lot of contracts on that property yet to be exempted, but a lot. Anyways, L is the LP Mama. L is location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. And so when you just remember those, you can flow through the dialogue, flow through a call or a conversation. Oh, is that the only area of town you're looking for?
And that's your location.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that, I know homes in that area range from $350 to $450. Is that a comfortable price point for you?
Yeah, okay.
Are you currently renting right now? Or are you having to sell your home? You find their motivation. Are you PCSing? What does that look like? Yeah. Oh, you've seen open houses or you've been in places, but out of curiosity, are you seeing that with an agent? You certainly don't want to sign cross with anybody.
Yeah, sure.
And then, awesome, will you be needing a loan? Or are you bringing suitcases of cash for the deal or doing a 1031?
Yeah.
You can then introduce them to your preferred lender to make sure.
719 lending.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And awesome. Well, based on this, it looks like, I'd love to sit down and visit with you. I have this time and this time available. And so
you've hit all those.
Boom. You hit them all. And you can go, they might start talking about something because what's the one thing people like to talk about the most? Themselves. Yeah. And if you ask better questions, you get them talking about them, and then you leave memorable, even though you didn't say anything. Yeah. You just held the space for them to talk about their most prized possession themselves.
I like Chris Voss's approach to that.
I love Chris Voss.
Yeah, where he talks about the like an inquisitive statement, restating the last part of their sentence.
Because they feel validated. And heard and seen.
Heard and seen.
Yeah, it's all the things.
See, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's a very cool process. But I like this. So what I like about the LP moment, to me, when the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, well, I don't practice real estate, but what can I come up with in mortgages that's similar to that? Because that's really cool. So what it does, though, is I hit the L, I hit the M, I hit the L, I hit the P. Through natural conversation, you can hit all those elements. Do you guys use like a cheat sheet or anything on the phone?
Or you just write down LP Mama, and then I'll write their notes right there.
Okay.
Yeah. There, you can do it any other way. Right now, it's in my brain.
Yeah.
And when I first started out, I always had a notebook in my car with a pen attached to it because chances are I was in my vehicle, I'm in the field, and so that was my
at a car
office.
Wash, eating French fries, and the phone
crying in my car.
This is Tiffany. I'd love to help you. What's your location? That's perfect.
Yeah, it's real life.
Yeah, that's real life. So, why would somebody want to join a team? Because most agents aren't on a team, right? So at least I don't think they are. Why would somebody want to?
I guess that would be discovered through a series of asking what they really want out of the business, why they get started into it. I can tell you why people don't join a team is because they think they're taking half of their commission. Yeah. And that may be true for some.
Yeah.
And and it's different for a lot because there is leverage, there is community, and people, I think, at the end of it, want to be a part of something bigger than just them. And you can accomplish more together. You can lean in, you can have coverage for different, from inspections to open houses to actually being present with your family. You don't have to be the front line all the time.
Yeah.
And you can create, certain bunkers and protection to protect your time. Right now we're trading time for money. And my goal is to teach people how to stop trading their time for money by using and being smart in real estate.
Yeah.
And that starts with the agents. And it starts, teaching them how to build the business side and build a really big business that you can be proud of, and doing it by design, not by a default system that you just show up and boom, it's just coming in.
And that default system, I always say that, if somebody shows up and it just starts working, they better figure out how and why that's working really quick, right? Usually it doesn't work that way, meaning usually they don't just show up and the business is there. But sometimes an agent or a loan officer, that will happen to them. And they show up, they're like, I don't know where these clients are going. It's just kind of working, talking to people. Well, you better get systemized really quickly, because when that stops, you better know, what calls do I make? So can we jump to that really quickly with your team? Do you guys have certain roles for certain parts of the transaction? So some teams do that, where it's like, this person shows houses, this person does listings, this person writes is that how you guys are structured? Is everybody kind of independent, and then you come together as a group and leverage off each other? How is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have our success team, and we have our success team.
Oh, that's my phone.
I don't know what that was. That's your purse. Oh, shoot.
That was funny. My alarm went off and your purse dropped.
So what time is it?
I think whatever we were about to talk about, don't talk about it. The universe is, the ghosts are like, knock it off, right?
Knock it off.
So have you tried both ways? Let me put it that way. Have you tried having it to where individual people do individual things, and have you done it where people are independent? Because it seems to me that would be a natural thing to try, right?
Okay. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what we do, because it's what we do.
Yeah.
And the reality is we have a success team. The success team is there to live in the inbox, is to help create leverage on creating contracts and different things like that. It's ultimately up to the agent to review those contracts, anything that their name is on. They help do some of the 80% of their job. That's really the lane of the success team, is to revolve in the 80% so that the agents can stay in their high lane of 20%. And when you have a team, I think of it as a highway, and we're all driving down the highway, and we all have our respectful lanes. And once you start drunk driving across all the lanes, inevitably there's going to be an accident.
At some point.
And a lot of times I take responsibility. That accidents were called by the leadership, right? With swoop and poop leadership, certain things like that. Those are real things.
I think she's writing down swoop and poop.
Okay, well, I mean, it's the reality. I'll swoop in, I'll on them, like I need all these things done, and then it completely diverts them from what the real tasks, what they were doing. And so I had to make that realization as a leader to not do that, and to respect their lanes, and trust them. It's not going to be done exactly the way I'm going to do it. And the part of me that grows as the leader is allowing them to develop the system the way, because it might even be better. And I have to be able to let go, because it's not me go, it's we go together. So the agents, I've never thought it was a good idea for anybody, especially the consumer, to have an agent just be a buyer's agent or just be a listing agent.
Gotcha.
And so I realized that, especially the newer agents, and I've worked a lot with newer agents coming into the business, I want them to be a well-rounded agent. Let them naturally decide if they want to do more listings. It's a completely different breed than a buyer's agent. And there's different time commitments, different levels of conversation, roles that are played. And so they have to discover, but they don't know what they don't know unless they give it a shot and try it. So we typically run along the listing side with them. We use a lot of our resources, and I want them to learn that side of the business. Same being with the buyers, and then they get to decide. and they naturally do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Just what best fits me in how I want to do my business.
yeah, and I have had plenty of agents that they are buyer. They want to work with buyers. Like that is their love language, and they want to serve, especially our military.
Yeah.
They've been hurt at some point throughout the buying process. That's what was their pain and motivation of getting into it.
Yeah.
Through their experience.
That's interesting. I have seen that a lot of agents.
Yes, and that's why their motivation of why they're doing what they're doing is to serve at that level. And so, by all means, let's cultivate.
I had a horrible experience.
Your niche.
I know I can do better for everybody, and I'm going to deliver better than what I received.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we help understand we have their niche or their niche or whatever. I play on words, right?
Well,
the riches are in the niches, and so understand the niche that you want to serve, and then those are your people.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's your people, and it's okay to not be everybody's people. Okay?
You don't want to be around those people anyway.
I'm like, I'm done with the people.
Yeah.
The people that are not my people.
The people that aren't your people are not the right people for you to be spending your people skills
ain't around.
on. Yeah, you don't want people around with the wrong people.
That's true.
That's for dang sure. There's a lot of people going on here. Was it difficult to hire your first salaried employee? Was that a mental leap for you?
You know, I think how we got over that is I had to earn the right to hire that person, and then understand that I earned a certain amount of income that would basically offset their salary. And then I gave myself a savings because I know it's not going to happen exactly the way I want it to happen. And so that it gave me, but we use a 30, 60, 90. And so we'll know in the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days if this is the right fit or not. And we set that expectation from the jump. I'm not everybody's fit. That's okay. And so, but there are people out there, you know, that are the right fit for the right
the right people for your people, right?
Correct. Back to that.
Back to that.
And so
clients and employees, right? The whole thing.
Yeah.
So, the reason I ask that question is I see a lot of real estate agents that maybe aren't as planned. So you plan it out and say, I have to make X amount of dollars and I have to have X amount of savings. At that point, I can then justify hiring this person. That's a very strategic approach, right? What I see a lot of real estate agents do is, I really need to hire somebody, man.
Well, they're moving in pain.
I'm going crazy.
They're deciding in pain.
Exactly. And then they hire somebody. They're like, man, you're not worth $4,000. What am I paying you for?
Well, we don't, in those moments, we tend not to set up proper expectations, mainly because we think everybody revolves in our brain and they can hear what we're thinking and what we expect from them.
Why are you calling me out on this?
Well, because I'm looking right at you.
Okay.
And
making me feel uncomfortable.
No, you know I love you. You know I know you. Because you and I are very similar creatures.
Yes, we are very similar creatures.
And I only have that insight is because I constantly fail in that area as well. Yeah. And so I never really truly fail because I'm learning how to be better at my effective communication. I might be communicating, and it may not be receiving, being received.
Obviously, there's something wrong with them, but yes,
clearly. But you know, it is how we show up. That's the only thing I can control is how I show up. And
what about hiring your first coach? Was that a difficult decision? Because coaches, you can go into like a $400 a month program. The higher level ones are like $2,000 a month, right? Was it hard to make a decision to hire that first coach? Was it, or did you do the same thing when you hired your first employee? Because that's an ongoing expense. You're not going to get everything you need out of a coach in 30 days.
100%. Yeah, that's a long-term play.
Keeping them for a while.
Here, I think looking back, hindsight is 20/20, right? And I would have interviewed my coaches better. And I was very fortunate to have great coaches, and I feel that maybe I kept some of my coaches longer than I already outgrew them because I was afraid of having a hard conversation.
Right.
And so I would much rather encourage those hard conversations from the jump, and before there's some sort of relationship built there, where it becomes
hard
familiar.
To tell somebody you like.
Yeah.
I'm moving on.
Yeah. And so I think because I've been coaching with the same coach for 4 years, and we just broke up, and that's how it feels, right? And so, but it was mutual, not mutual, but it was the right thing. Yeah. And he gave me some great insight on make sure you ask these questions, make sure you're not settling, make sure you're doing.
That's how the breakup went.
Yeah. And because he's an awesome coach. And
you didn't say something weird like you got a droopy eye and I can't keep looking at it. Nothing like that.
But 6:30 in the morning every Wednesday for the last 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that is commitment. That is a level of, he coached me through OsteoStrong, other businesses. Yeah. He coached me through all the different things.
She says I'm tapping my pen.
Okay, yeah, that's okay.
I'm going like this.
You are a tapper. Tip tapper.
A tip tapper. So OsteoStrong was another business that you opened, right? I think you recently sold it this last year. Is that right? And with that, I know you had a lot of passion for
I have passion for helping people.
Yes, yeah, going into that. Is it, a lot of real estate agents have side hustles, right? And I wouldn't say opening a franchise is a side hustle. That's was full-blown commitment. It's a full-time commitment. What would you say, now when I say side hustle, selling Amway, selling usually some sort of multi-level marketing or I don't know, something, a trinket business, whatever. What would you say to those agents that try to mix doing real estate and also dropping in the fact that, oh, by the way, and I've seen business cards sometimes as a real estate agent, also a notary and I sell Amway and Mary Kay. And is that something that you're okay with, or is it something they should not be doing?
Oh, I'm not. I'm never going to tell somebody not to.
Would you do it?
Work for them. I was that person. I did have OsteoStrong and real estate, and I do investing, and I flip properties.
What does your business card say? Does it say OsteoStrong real estate agent?
No, it doesn't. It says investor, realtor. I think that no matter what people decide that they need to do, they need to create time around it and time blocking. Which business is going to move you forward?
Yeah.
And if that other business is creating, space that complements your first, overflow, if that business isn't growing big, then I would, if it's completely on the opposite end of what you're trying to do, you have to make sure you have one successful business. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to tank both of them.
Yeah.
And
chasing two rabbits that are way faster than you.
Yeah. And so I think your time is it's the most valuable asset that you have, and you can't order more on Amazon. So you have to be very particular with your time commitments. And when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And is that no that you're saying by saying yes to these other things, is it serving the bigger picture?
Right.
And so I think at the core, it's like, let's gain some clarity on what are your priorities, and what does that look like? You can have all the businesses that you want to have, and it will take time.
Handled properly with strategy.
Yeah. But I think it comes down to clarity on how that's going to serve the bigger picture on what it is that you actually want from it. I think it was said recently, and it just really struck home to me, people don't get into business with you to achieve your goals.
Interesting.
They get into business with you to achieve their goals. And as a leader, as a partner in helping them grow their business, it's important to gain clarity on what are those goals. And then goal setting is not a muscle that's been built. It's hard to goal set, really goal set. And I know we kind of talked about that at the beginning, and I think the reality is it is the season of goal setting and gaining clarity on what that looks like. And it's okay to say no to some things that maybe aren't serving. I have been, for so many years, I have set year goals. Yeah. And I was just give myself permission to set a 90-day goal. To go through the first
short-term goals.
I love it because I set a goal for myself to make my bed and to work out and to do these things every single day because they're small wins to help me continue to trigger those things that are actually bringing me closer to that end goal that I want. And so for me, it was so much easier to chunk down and to digest and to also stay committed to. Because I can see the first quarter. I can see certain things. I'm very well of the trends of our market, what on pace for an election year, how to really create that bunker. Winter is my season, and really work our database and our touches, things like that. And then pivot. but what do we need to do? I mean, that's inevitable. And so what is then the second quarter and third quarter and fourth quarter going into 2025 and the predictions of, how robust that year is going to be? It starts with what I do now and gaining clarity and really working our systems and models so I can streamline the business and help people see that is a easy way so you get your time back so you can do what you want to do.
Can I ask a little bit more of a interpersonal question that goes along with real estate? What is something that you need to be doing to succeed in real estate that you just don't, and you maybe for whatever reason?
It's so simple. It's lead gen and follow up.
Okay. Luckily,
my husband, he's so good. I love him. Shout out to him.
Yeah. What's up, Brian?
He hates it. And he will bite. Okay. He will just bite the bullet and do it. And I'll do it. And I'll just do it a little differently.
Okay. What do you mean by lead gen and follow-up? Give me an example of what the activity
I just mean working
like.
in my database, making calls, sending out those text messages, making videos. I guess that's another thing that I should be really doing is making videos.
We've shot a lot of videos together. Oh my God. And they do work good.
They work so good, but they're so hard for me to do it. I don't know why. I only need to do it one and done.
One time, Do you remember there for a while, you and I were shooting videos and you got in this karate kick thing for a while.
Oh my God, high kicks.
Yeah. Right? I was like, roll with it, Tiffany, right on. Do your intros and outros with karate chops, whatever, man.
Felt right. It felt right in the moment.
But that's what was so nice about when we were shooting a lot of videos together was it was free flow. Like it was like, here's the topic, go.
I'm itching. I'm like, what are these questions? What I want to talk about? I want to talk about 40-year interest rates. I want to talk about people being forced into renting. The things I want to talk about, but we're talking about how to build a business.
How to succeed in real estate. So lead gen and follow-up. That would suggest like let's take a past client database, right? How often are you touching that past client database?
That's super important. At Keller Williams, they give great systems and models, and they have 36 touch plans, 72 touch plans. They're smart plans that people
72 touch. That's more than once a week. That's a lot.
That's a lot of touches.
Yeah.
And well.
Let's keep it clean.
And I'm doing my best. Okay.
This hasn't gone off rails, and some of our conversations have gone off rails over the years, and so this is great. That
it's called growth, Tim.
Oh, it's maturity, growth, wisdom. Yes,
wisdom.
We're reading the room properly. We're on a podcast that other professionals are going to listen to.
Right.
So we want to read that room.
And they all, I think they're downloading what they need. If they want to earn more, they have to learn more. Yeah. And you're creating space to learn different tips, tactics that work for others that they can apply in their business. So thank you for providing those tips and resources to people. Yeah,
awesome. Well, so then let's jump to what is kind of the number one most important thing that you actually are doing. I had to call you out on what are you not doing, because we all have things that we need to be doing that we're not, right? My weekly calls, my weekly structure, I know I need to do it, and I try hard to do it. I think you probably got some information from me in the last day or two that I had sent out.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have time to make my calls, so I sent out texts, right? It was like, hey, here's an update about some stuff that can help you in your business. I always want to add value whenever I do a touch point with somebody. I want to add
think
value.
You're very good at that. It comes via email, comes via text, it comes via marketing.
Somebody's delivering it, right? Like somehow or another, it's being delivered.
Hey, it's success through others.
Yes,
and with others.
So what is it that you're doing that you find to be probably the most important thing to sustain and grow your business right now? Don't say contacting your database, because you just said that's the one thing you're having a hard time with.
Yeah, I know. Shoot.
Dang it, I already called myself out on that.
Completely. No. All right. I think that it is getting creative. I think there's a saying, meet people where they are.
Yeah.
But don't leave them there.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah.
And I believe that there are so many different ways we can help serve our clients. And there are plenty of people that, whether they're relocating, PCSing, if they are underwater, if they have no equity and they're forced with the move, or a family change of sorts, is how to provide resource and get creative. And we have been working in that realm of being creative. We see a lot of, we don't have a lot of inventory. A lot of people are sitting on their home waiting for a change. They don't want to give up their good rate. There's a lot of reasoning and variables behind that. Those are a couple of the bigger ones. Is where are they going to go? The interest rate is a big one.
Because they're going to go buy a house that's not going to be any cheaper of a house, and the interest rate is going to be double.
Correct. And then they also are looking at that the home needs some repairs done. And one of the things that I've done, and this, I do love the ins and out of real estate. And at the core, I'm your homegirl Tiff. I do homegirl things. I like to flip and remodel and help people do small things that are going to get them a bigger bang for their buck in the end. And so it's meeting people where they are, understanding their financial circumstances, and being a guide to help move them forward, and explore different resources to get that done.
What's interesting about that is one of, to me, I really like the sales process a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense for my brain, and I really like it. And what you're saying is meet people where they're at. But don't leave them there. And one key thing in selling, in general sales aspect, is when somebody has a question, has a concern, or has an opinion, a belief, whatever it is that's ingrained, I want to align with you wherever you're at, right? As I'm talking to you, I'm going to align with you. And as I align with you, now we can be, even maybe on the smallest level, we can be in sync. But then that allows me then to guide you. If I come in like a bull in a china shop and I'm going to guide you, boy. I'm going to tell you, look, you're going to go this way, and this is going to do this, and it's going to happen. You're like, I don't know, right? If I can meet you there and say, okay, now we're friends. Now we've made that connection. Now you can trust me. Let me guide you to where I want to go. And that is, in a basic sales process, is very important to get somebody from that initial consultation to, hey, I am hiring Tiffany to be my real estate agent, to buy or sell or whatever it is. And then it makes me think, imagine if everybody did this, like, I don't know, in politics, right? And we had civil discourse to where it was, I understand that this is your deep-seated belief, and there's a reason you have that belief, and I can understand that maybe I would fall in line, so I'm very, very close being in that same situation, and this, and we make that connection, and then it allows us to have civil discourse where we can say, here's another thought, here's another idea.
I think what you're saying is trust, and people don't trust. What's the saying? People don't care until they know how much you care, or what's that saying?
Yeah. Thanks for messing it up, and that now I can't remember.
Yeah.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Thank you.
Yes. Man, you literally built like a cement block on that thought, and I was like, it's gone.
But you pulled it out. I was proud of you.
I karate kicked the wall down. Is what I did.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Yes, I karate kicked it.
Do you have shoes on? Are you in your socks right now?
Maybe.
I love that you're in your socks. Why did I not get that memo?
I don't know.
I'm in my Christmas socks.
I don't know. Yeah, it's comfortable, I guess. I like it.
I love that you kicked that high that I could tell that you didn't have shoes on. Also proud of you.
Yes.
For stretching.
Yes. Try to stretch from time to time.
I think the reality, I think you're right on the trust side, that people get into business with you in any aspect when you can see them. We talked about that. When you can hear what they have to say, you can disagree with it, and then you can help guide them.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it where, you have to ask the questions and you can align with where they are. And then by asking those questions and not bulldozing what your expectation is, understanding where theirs is and where they're looking to go, then you can craft the strategy in order to get them there.
To help, and if you truly believe in your product, you truly believe that you are going to represent this buyer or the seller better than anybody, then you're the professional. They're not the professional. It's you. And so if you don't make that connection, it's you that didn't make that connection, because they are exactly where they are. And I like what you said, let's meet them where they are, but let's not leave them there. And that comes down to alignment. And I think alignment comes down to questions, and be able to ask questions comes down to a proper beginning presentation of yourself, right? And then you can ask those questions. You have to be smart enough to ask those questions.
There's great books. There's podcasts on how to ask better questions, all available to us. And it could be as easy as the who, what, when, where. Tell me more.
Yeah. I'd like to hear more.
What does that look like? How's that going to feel?
I get in trouble for saying this, but as a guy, I have a hard time going any deeper than surface level with asking those questions. So,
well, I feel like that's a hallucination that you have on yourself.
See, everybody tells me that.
Is a tape that you need to
I need to erase it.
I think it's and replace it.
Did you listen to cassette tapes growing up?
Okay. I had Tony Robbins in my ear.
Yeah. How old were you when you started listening to Tony Robbins?
I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I was too, actually. It's about when my brother-in-law, Mark, introduced me to it. I was I had to be, I was pretty young, like early 20s.
Yeah.
And I was working at a bicycle shop, and he comes in, and he was like my new brother-in-law, and he's talking to me. He's like, "What do you want to do?" It's like, "Ride my bike." He's like, "No, but what do you want to do?" "Sell people bikes so I can ride a nicer bike." I don't know. He's like, and so there was a bookstore next door to us, and so he's like, we need to go next door. So he walks me next door, and he picks up all these Tony Robbins tapes. He's like, "You need to go and start listening to these." The first time I listened to that, I was like, "This guy is nuts. Yeah. He is off his rocker." I kind of just want to listen to Pearl Jam right now, so I don't like.
I gotta go.
Where are we going with this, Mr. Crazy? But then after a while, I decided to give it a chance, and I started listening to it, and I thought, okay, there's actually a lot of really good information. I can see how people would think it's kooky, but at the same time, if you look at it and just say from a personal stand, and what I've realized through listening to that, and kind of really, I ended up putting a good chunk of my life like kind of focused on this stuff. I realized though that I didn't even understand most of it because it didn't. I was too young to have the life experience to understand where the heck he's even coming from on this, right? And so then it just got to be a story in my head without truly understanding it. And then as I got older, and challenges came up, and business challenges, and family challenges, all these things come up, and then the typical life stuff where you go to that inner Tim place that sometimes is a scary neighborhood, right? And I'm in there, and I'm like, wait a minute. Now that makes sense. I'm really glad that I prepared and planned to have that data to help me.
That was pre-programming.
To help me navigate this, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Don't know how we got on the topic of Tony Robbins.
I know, but I went there with you.
Yeah, we were there. We were in the same car. That's what we were. The reason we got there is I asked if you listened to cassette tapes because on the back of a cassette tape, if you put a little piece of tape over the little dip, you could record over it. Yeah, and you told me how to erase that tape, and the first thing I thought was, man, I'm going to make a mixed tape for Tiffany when this is done. This is going to be great. It's just going to have Tony Robbins clips through the whole entire thing. Now, the question is, are you going to be able to find a cassette player to play that thing? That's going to be a little tough.
I think I saved one in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could buy an old car. They probably have one. So what would you tell a real estate agent that is brand new to the business? How do they, and I'm going to switch this, I'm going to give you two elements to this question, okay? What would you tell them to win? And in context, meaning if it was you and you had to go land in a brand new area of the country that you have never been in, that same advice would have to work for you there, right? You don't know anybody in this new area. Just like a brand new agent comes to town, they don't know anybody. What are the first things what are the absolute necessities, the first things they have to do to start generating business?
It's a relationship business. It's not a transactional one. And so you would beat the pavement and start building and nurturing, harvesting relationships, and adding to your database.
Well, let's break that down
We call it the data bank. And so make deposits in your data bank. Maybe that's 5 entries a day that you're adding.
How do I find those 5?
Well, you find the motivated. Who's your motivated buyer?
Well, I'm at my house and I'm brand new here. I don't know anybody. Where do I go? What do I do? Like, do I go to the Starbucks and start talking to people? What do I do?
Well, you go to the Google.
I told the guy yesterday. I asked him we were doing something. I said, "Are you in front of the Google machine?" He said, "What is that?" I said,
The
Do
computer.
you have a computer? I was trying to show them where to do a mortgage calculation really quick and easy, faster than we can even do it, right? Google has a fantastic mortgage
Yeah, they do.
calculator.
I use it all the time. No
Yeah,
offense, but
it's-
but then I
Oh,
go
no.
to you guys. I always call, and I
Yeah.
want the particulars, and you know that.
Well, I use the Google machine for really, really, really quick calculations as well. It's built perfectly.
yeah,
So,
and teach
yeah.
people how to do the same.
Yeah.
And so I would go to who aligns. You know, who are you trying to serve?
Okay.
Then go put yourself in those positions, and then who knows your customer before you do.
Yeah.
And you start building that relationship and harvesting those and showing up. I think
Give me a couple specific examples on that. I know I'm digging, but is it do I go to church and start building a network group? Do I join a
Yeah.
BNI? Do I
Yeah.
go to a coffee shop and realize that the same guy's here doing nothing every single morning? I'm going
and you
to
talk
him.
to people. You got to get out of your own head.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, people get in their head, you're dead.
Hmm.
And so you get out of your own head and you get into action.
Yeah.
And you have to create clarity around that what that action is.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of shiny objects that are always flashed in front of people with regards to social media,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a great tool. It's one of the tools in the toolbox that you are going
It's
to.
not the tool, it's a tool.
It is a tool.
Yep.
And you can't build the house with just one tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can.
I tried sawing a 2x4 with a hammer one time. It was all splintery.
Didn't really work out.
No, it didn't. I mean, everything was.
I know. So the
wasn't
goal
very
is
plumb.
to you want to earn more, then learn more. So
Yeah.
get into classes, get into the communities. Yes, if that's your people,
Yeah.
you go to where your people are.
Right.
And then who knows your people before you do? So building a database of over 200, it's a numbers game. We go back to simplifying it, but at 201, the average real estate agent will generate a six-figure income when a database of over 201 and it's worked will generate that type of income.
That's amazing, right? And that's the nice thing that I like about that is statistical math. That's not a you should.
It's not a feeling or a fluff. It's
Right.
this is what most people say they want to get into the business making this type of income. Let's work back on that, which means we need X amount of appointments a day in order to generate this. And where is that going to come from? Well, it's going to come from a data bank that you've been depositing in, which is a relationship business.
and you're working that data.
And
bank.
you're working that data
Yeah.
bank.
It's
and
not
you're
just a name.
constantly adding to it. And you're going back to the ABCs. You're adding value.
Yeah.
You're adding value to the people that you're serving by being resourceful in those different communities, connecting people and understanding what is their pain, what is their need, how can
Yeah.
I be a solution to that? And then in turn, that creates that raving fan base.
Yeah.
And that will continue to give you that repeat and referral business. And that is how a strong foundation is built to build the real estate business, the business side
Yeah.
of real estate.
So, anything else that you would like to add? If you had something in your mind before you got here, which, by the way, we didn't even talk about any of this. This is kind of how we used to shoot videos. You show up, we hit record, and we just kind of started going. So
I am the variable. I apologize.
No,
Hi,
no.
it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
do you know who you're talking to here? This is exactly how I want to do this. I hate the preparation ahead of time. That's something I've got to work on is my preparation. I want to hit the full steam ahead right out of the gate at basically everything I do. So,
If I have any closing remarks, if you would, or
Yeah.
I think the reality is there is a lot of misinformation out there that is being funneled into our industry, and there's a lot of fires that are currently burning houses down. To be honest with you, and so we have to stand at the forefront and really navigate those conversations and guide people through them with actual facts. And what I mean is there's going to be a lot of people left behind building wealth through real estate, and I don't want those to be my fellow agents, and I certainly don't want to be my fellow community members either.
Yeah.
When you have big box businesses that have been in our community for the last few years buying up investment properties, the interest rates are high right now. The buyers are the investors.
Yeah.
They don't care about the commissions. They don't care about the rates, right? They're buying up all of this property. And when you have those companies coming out and saying by 2030, you're going to rent and you're going to like it.
Yeah.
And then you have bigger corporations coming out like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And I'm not trying to tell you your lane, but they have a 40-year mortgage coming out, right? Then a 50-year and a 60-year. Grant Cardone just came out today talking about, if you might see it in our lifetime, a 100-year mortgage. That's because the numbers have to make sense.
Have you ever looked at an amortization schedule and see how much interest you pay in the first quarter of the?
Yeah.
Then we're going to mix that to 50 years. You're going to finally start paying 50% of your principal as your payment.
And so that is a scary, realistic projection that we can help people navigate. Otherwise, they will be forced into renting.
Yeah. To be fair, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac also jumped on the subprime wagon at one point. They didn't call it subprime, but they, so
and I'm not calling them out. There's a lot of opportunity.
I could give you probably 10 other items that they're absolutely horrible at, and simultaneously I can give you a few items that NAR's terrible at as well.
Well,
right?
100%. Hey, it's the human element, and I just think that you have to inform yourself, inform others, and get creative on what that looks like.
I saw yesterday a news article that said they pulled out a couple big investment companies, and they said that they are specifically buying, they called it school zone buying, right? And they said there's 21 zip codes in America where they're buying as much as they can because they know that, guess what? It's a good school zone. It's a good whatever it is. It's a good, our school district, not school zone, sorry, school district. We know that these zip codes are high demand, right? And they're going to continue to be high demand. Whereas if I'm buying in a bad neighborhood, maybe that demand's not always going to be there. So they've picked 21 across the country that they are gobbling up everything that they can. And I've been seeing a lot where they say, well, one person says, oh, it's 44% of all the investment properties were by, BlackRock and all these other places. And then I've seen a lot of others where it's actually not that level, not even close to that level, but it's still a trend that is pushing the average homeowner, you and I, that, hey, look, I want to retire with a dozen rentals, right, and be very happy with it, and that's a great, that could even build generational wealth at that point,
will build generational wealth,
right? And you look at that
if done correctly,
right? And I want to go down that route, but when I have to compete against out of state big money and Open Doors, and I don't know if you guys are allowed to call people out or not, but these big, iBuying, iBuying platforms, it's difficult to buy in those areas without having somebody come in like, hey, I have to pay cash. Like we're done. That's very difficult to maneuver as a home buyer. So, and I did see a guy the other day told me, no, it was a video. He didn't tell me. I thought he was talking to me. I took it very personal.
It
was like I was invested in this 2.5 minute video, very invested. But he was mentioning that, hey, as rates go lower, because the demand is still high, it's still a seller's market, right?
It's supply and demand. It's simple economics.
And he says as soon as rates go down, we're estimating 3 rate cuts next year by the Fed, approximately 150 basis point total cut over the next year. When that happens, and if rates go down and the demand's still there, prices are going to then jump again. So you jump in right now at a 7% interest rate, 6.5, 6.75, whatever it is, get it, and next year when the demand goes up, and we can't predict the future. You're going
to have instant equity.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I say stuff like, "Well, you can't predict that." I talked to a guy yesterday. Oh, you can't predict that. You're right, I can't, but I can tell you, traditionally over the last, say, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever, however you want to look at that. It's my phone again. However you want to look at that, it is a very, very good investment.
Well, and I think that's where it even couples back to, in order to make it appealing to the consumer, that's where the 40 and 50-year mortgage rates will come in to make it a little bit more, consumable.
Yeah, but it's almost terrifying to me because
it 100% is, and that's why I want to help people understand you got to dictate and you got to have those conversations now and plan, because it's happening whether you like it or not. And so if you don't want to be an agent buying and selling real estate, you buy property. Yeah. Buy property and get creative with it and get with other people and go in together on buying it.
I know you guys do a lot of, I've talked to Brian about a few of those, and they a lot of creative ideas on becoming an investor. So how do people get a hold of you? They'd like to pick your brain a little bit more, Tiffany. Do they call your phone?
Yes, they can call my phone or they can text.
Do they email you? Do they knock on your door at dinner time?
Gosh darn it. Yes,
My address is 123 Main Street.
Yeah, you can
Pop by anytime.
Pop by anytime. That's a good one, Tim. I'm going to use that. No, they can call us. They can call our team. That's probably the easiest way. 719-999-5789. That is our Homebound Team main line, and I'm on social media, and my cell phone's out there too. It's all over the MLS.
4 9s, 2 1s. It's quite the number there.
It is. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you did that. Well, that wraps up another episode of Cut to the Chase with Tiffany Canady. Join us again next week, every week, where we cut to the chase with successful real estate agents. That wraps up another episode of Agent Success Podcast. Remember, you can find new episodes each week at agentsuccesspodcast.com. We hope you found the insights and best practices shared today truly valuable. And if you did, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, your success is a journey of learning and improvement. So let's keep hustling, thriving, and learning. Until next week, this is Tim Chase.